The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
Mel's pretty much all set up here, so I'll just kind of be sitting off to the side while you guys do your thing. I'll just go ahead and start our Audacity now. All right, well, have fun.
Will do.
Will do.
Get that nerd out of here.
Hold on.
I can still hear you.
Oh no.
You said you left.
Yeah, the computer got busted.
Now the nerd can't hear you anymore.
Good.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, a proud member of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. I am Matt, and JD and Kyle are not here because they didn't want to participate in the discussion about this particular series, but I do have two other lovely co-hosts with me today, whenever you're listening to this. Anyway, we have Mel.
Hello. Hi.
And we have Aiden.
Hey, I am here again, and this time I'm here as for a special occasion because this is something I really like to talk about, and I'm really excited to talk about.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do this episode specifically because Aiden is a big fan of this series, and I felt like he would have a lot to talk about. So, yeah, we are talking about the newest My Little Pony movie to come out on Netflix, My Little Pony: A New Generation. I believe it came out about a week ago now, right?
Yeah, it's been like a week since it came out or so. It came out on the 24th, I want to say. Also, it's a fun thing that we're doing this now because I don't know when the podcast will be out when y'all are done editing it, but October 3rd is the 11th year anniversary of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it all kind of works out that way. And it's important, too, because, My Little Pony. And for those of you that may not be aware, while this is a new generation, this is definitely not a reset, new reboot. This is 100% a continuation from My Little Pony Generation 4, Friendship is Magic.
Yeah, and they explore that at the very beginning of the movie too, and kind of like as a thorough plot line throughout this movie. They're referencing the events, or I guess characters that that happened well in the past. But before we get on the topic of the movie itself, I just want to kind of ask you guys about your well, I mean, not you specifically, Aiden, because of course you're the most foremost expert here about it. But yeah, Mel. So I believe this is before I was ever on the podcast, but I think you guys covered, or you were on the podcast where they covered the Friendship is Magic movie, right?
Yeah, I went and saw that with JD.
Okay. So, I mean, as far as the actual show goes, I mean, did you watch all of Friendship is Magic? Were you a big My Little Pony fan before that, or?
Well, so growing up as a little girl, there was this one My Little Pony movie that I really liked. I can't remember what it's called, but it's this girl goes to the real, the pony goes to the real world and kidnaps this girl and takes her back to Pony World, and there's this evil shadowy thing.
I think you're talking about the old 80s pilot.
No, but it was cool. And I was really into that one. And so I was really into Pegasus ponies, specifically with the wings. And then I really had no connection to My Little Pony until Friendship is Magic came out. But even when that came out, I didn't start watching it until it was already on season 2 or 3. And I liked it. And I really liked it up until after she became an alicorn was kind of fun. But I felt like there were a lot of weird plots that just kind of started getting tossed around, and I was like, eh. But I would always watch the season finales. I watched every season finale, and then I saw the movie, and then I watched this one. So I can't say I'm a huge pony fan, but I mean, it's,
Sure. You're kind of yeah, I getcha.
Yeah.
I definitely followed Friendship is Magic for a while. That was really the only pony media I engaged with. I wasn't familiar with it up until that point. And of course, because Friendship is Magic was kind of a juggernaut in terms of how wide its it spread as far as like the fan base and stuff went. I don't need to go into any of that here. I mean,
if you were around the internet in like 2010 to 2013, you could not escape Friendship is Magic.
Yeah,
straight up.
it was very popular. Yeah,
I at first didn't even realize that it was a My Little Pony show because I saw like pictures and GIFs before I knew what it was, and I, honest to God, I thought they were cats, like because their snouts are so short.
That's the one thing I've always liked about. Okay, so this is something. All right, I guess to just bring up some context. So I've seen like everything that has to do with that last My Little Pony generation, including every episode of Friendship is Magic, every fucking bit of the side series, Equestria Girls, all of the shorts. Basically, I've indulged in every little bit of that media as I possibly could. This is a big deal. But I've also indulged a little bit in the previous generations just to kind of see what it all looked like back then and see what kind of stuff carried over into Friendship is Magic, because eventually, like especially like at the very, very beginning, Friendship is Magic was originally meant to be like a reboot of the first generation. All the characters were going to be first generation ponies and whatnot before Hasbro stepped in and said, no, we want you to make it these newer characters. And so, yeah, that's kind of where that came from. And so I wanted to check out the older stuff. And it's fun looking at the older pony stuff because you get to see the progression where they go from actually kind of shaped like a horse to whatever they are in Generation 4, which they're adorable. I love ponies in Generation 4, but I could never justifiably say they look like horses outside of their hooves.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, as far as my familiarity with it, I was following the show for a while, and then I can't remember exactly when I sort of dropped off, but I know it was before Twilight became an alicorn, so I'm not sure exactly when that happened. Was that like season 4 or something?
That was season 3. That was like the last episode of season 3. I remember that was a big turning point for a lot of people back then. Because I think a lot of people were just like really hoping that that's not where the direction of the show went. And like, I don't know, in retrospect, as someone who's watched all of Friendship is Magic once recently and twice for like a couple of the other seasons, I never really had that much of an issue with it. It felt like something that they were naturally going to do at one point or another. So, yeah. It does feel...
I literally never thought about it before. I was literally just... Like, I guess I didn't think too hard on it because I was like, yep, this is a show for 6-year-olds.
Here's the weird thing about it is that, and one of the reasons I know some people dropped the show wasn't just because, like, they just randomly made Twilight an alicorn. It was, well, one, for how sudden her alicorn transformation ended up being. But for another one is that after a while, the show did sort of realize that it was going for an audience that was not just 6-year-old girls. And you get to like various episodes in later seasons where they kind of just acknowledge that, one, in a sense that like every season up to like season 4 and onward have loose ongoing plots. And by ongoing plots, I mean there's something that gets established in the beginning of a season, and then it will like be an ongoing thing for the whole season until the finale, where it all kind of concludes in a way. And so there's stuff like the fucking Tree of Harmony in season 4, Starlight Glimmer in season 5, the School of Harmony in season 8, so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, it was more, I wasn't getting at that I dropped the show because of her becoming an alicorn. I just knew that I had dropped off at some point before that happened because I didn't remember her being an alicorn the last time I watched this show.
Sorry.
I've definitely watched the first 2 seasons, and then I think I might have watched like the season premiere of season 3 then or something. So that's as much of Friendship is Magic that I've seen.
Well, to be fair, that's all you really need to see for this movie, but yeah, no, from what I was kind of getting at, because I did have a point that I was getting at with that one, is that eventually at a point, the show started to becoming aware that older fans were watching this, and so plots started going into more like world building kind of topics and stuff like that, and there was a lot more lore. Stories were a little bit more involved, and then there were just literal episodes that directly pointed at the fan base. And not in a way where, and like, there's the one famous episode I can think of, the big 100th episode, where instead of the main cast, or instead of the main six, it's a bunch of recognizable background ponies that the fan base had latched onto. And then there's 2 episodes where it's like literally the show is looking directly at the fan base and saying, guys, we know you're big fans, but we need y'all to chill. Yes, season 7 gets a little weird. Little bit weird.
Right. Okay, so yeah, that's all all related to Friendship is Magic, but of course we are here to talk about A New Generation, which is actually I wanted to ask, so like from start to finish, how long did like the Friendship is Magic era go for? Because like it started in 2010, and then when did it like sort of like wrap up? Like, because I mean, well, actually, still technically going, right? Because I know they're doing like a show that's kind of like the Teen Titans Go version of.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one.
Okay, to answer that question, the answer was My Little Pony Friendship is Magic literally lasted the entirety of the 2010s. Like, it started in 2010 and it ended in 2019. Meanwhile, Pony Life was just a weird. Pony Life isn't even considered by the fan base to be Generation 4. That's Generation 4.5. It's so substantially different. But that went on until, like, I think it ended this year, actually.
Oh, really? That didn't last very long.
Yeah, no, it lasted 2 seasons, which is more than you'd expect, but,
Yeah.
you know.
I thought it was going to keep going, because Teen Titans has gone on for forever.
Yeah, but also Teen Titans Go, like, it's weird to say that that's kind of already become an established cash cow. Meanwhile, with Pony Life, it was pretty obvious that, like, I think they were really trying to steer the direction back towards its target audience, and it probably just didn't really work out, because you're like, I don't know, young girls.
Yeah, does that show skew like a lot younger?
Yeah, definitely. It's very much like, what if we did Teen Titans Go, but with My Little Pony Generation 4, basically. It didn't even have all of the returning cast. All the main 6 returned for their voices, but Spike doesn't come back. And so instead, Spike is played by Tabitha St. Germain, and it's kind of funny.
Okay. Okay, then yeah, so that's good to know. So basically, the gen lasted up until this movie coming out. Then there wasn't like a big gap of time, because I mean, I know that there was a pretty substantial gap before Friendship is Magic came out, right? Like whatever, the Generation 3, I guess.
I believe so. There was Generation quote unquote 3.5, which was the weird baby pony era that everybody was doing. That was the style at the time. But beyond that, I think there was like a good couple of year gap before Generation 4 happened between Generation 3.
Okay. So then, yeah, we're going basically from Generation 4 right into this new Generation 5 then.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like, every other generation up to this point has basically been a hard set new universe with its own, like, cast of characters. This is the first time I think they've really made, like, no, this is a continuation after. This is going after Generation 4. Because, like, the very opening of the movie is the main 6 from Gen 4, or done in the movie's art style, and it's all 2D. And yeah, no, it's a good way of just immediately establishing, nope, all this happened last time, and that's just in universe now.
Yeah, I did think that was a very fun surprise, because I wasn't expecting that. Where the movie starts out and it's done like in a 2D style, and it's the main 6, they have their original voice actors, but then like it devolves into like you find out that it's like some
it's like it's all that's fun, and then Rarity just has a hard shift where her voice changes and she tries to like fry the other main 6s with lasers, and then it hard cuts to the actual movie.
Yeah, which is done in I don't think we mentioned that at this point actually. So yeah, this entire movie's done in CG, which I think MLP has dabbled with doing CG stuff before. Have they?
I know.
They did it once, to my knowledge. Generation 4 had one CGI thing, and it looked terrible.
Okay.
It looked really bad.
Right. I thought that they had attempted to do something with that before, but this is their first time doing it where they actually have like a substantial, budget behind, what they're doing. Now that, MLP is kind of like reestablished itself as being like a very popular series for Hasbro. Like, they're afforded the opportunity to do like a big feature like this, like outside of, obviously Friendship. Like, I guess they were kind of wondering, or a lot of people were wondering, Friendships of Magic was kind of like an anomaly, and if like MLP would be able to survive outside of that. And so now it's interesting to see, like, they're starting out with this movie, and then I believe that there are plans already to expand on this with like a show proper and stuff, right?
There's gotta, well, given that there has to be naturally, because honestly, as much as I really enjoy this movie, and I'll go ahead and say it, I really enjoy this movie. It's a very fun time, but it more than anything feels like a pilot for an inevitable longer series that's going to be on Netflix.
That's what I said. I said that exact same thing, and I actually asked Jamie or JD. I was like, are they making this a show? Like, is this going to be a show? And he didn't know.
Right. At least looking on Wikipedia here really quick, it does say that Hasbro Netflix announced that they are doing a proper show, and that this movie is basically a prequel to, and that they're also doing a 44-minute special aside from those, in addition to doing content specifically for YouTube as well. So
That
okay,
makes
yeah.
sense.
So yeah, it's not just like a weird thing where like Gen 5 is going to be just this movie. This is basically the premiere of this gen, and it's going to lead to more longer form stuff. Like, and I imagine that's going to be bolstered by merchandise, toy lines, all that sort of thing. Like, it's My Little Pony. Like, in addition to Hasbro's other series like Transformers, GI Joe, like all that sort of stuff. All the main goal, yeah, it's all the goal is to sell toys basically, but in recent times it's become more of a they definitely want to place some importance on actually making a quality product to go with it.
Yeah, and the funniest part about the merch, I want to just briefly bring that up before we talk about the movie proper, is that the merch kind of spoils the movie, because they were releasing and promoting various merchandise that straight up spoils the ending of this movie. And I remember a lot of fans were like, "Oh boy, here we go again."
I think I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, and like there was a whole era where like we know Generation 5 was coming, but we didn't know what it looked like. And then the first thing about Generation 5 that accidentally got leaked was a bedspread featuring Sunny, Izzy, and Pip. But it was done in like, okay, there's like this weird, it's 2D, but it looks like they just took the renders and just drew over them, and it looks horrifying. So that was the first time anyone ever saw Generation 5 proper. You can imagine that it was not a good start.
Sure. Yeah, and I think definitely the fan base had a lot of expectations like after Friendships of Magic, just because, like previously mentioned, it was very popular. So I think it was going to be hard for anything to live up to that. But I haven't really heard like any anyone's like reception to this. I will, because I haven't really gone to look for it like on Twitter or anything. But I mean, you kind of dabble around and looking like for that sort of stuff. So I mean, does it seem like this reception of this movie has been pretty good, like in regards to just general audiences and the fan base and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Like, so far, most fans really enjoy this movie. Like, even older fans who came back to it to just be like, I'll give it a shot. They were like, yeah, this movie's pretty good. Like, generally speaking, this is a really, like, most people have greatly accepted Generation 5, especially for me, I'm excited for this, because going into this movie, I was really skeptical about it. Because I had seen a bunch of stuff from Generation 5, and for a long time, I was like really, really worried that this was going to try to steer back in the direction that Pony Life was going to go, where it's going to be more focused on little girls and stuff. And then I saw the plot synopsis came out about how Magic and Equestria is gone and the ponies live separated, and it was like, and that kind of piqued it just a little bit, just a slight interest peak. And then we finally saw the first trailer, and all of my worries just immediately washed away, because, oh my god, I was so hyped just from the first trailer.
Sure. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, and I think I remember you had made like a bunch of predictions, right, about like what the plot it was going to entail, or like certain character beats, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say that I was like right on half of them, like
Right.
a good chunk of them. But there was
Well-
definitely stuff that I may have gotten wrong. But at this point, I don't remember because I've been thinking so much about the movie.
Sure. Okay. Well, so yeah, we've definitely talked about the series surrounding the movie and a little bit about the movie itself. But yeah, I guess we can kind of just delve into the content of the movie itself now. So yeah, I just watched this last night. I think Aiden, I think you watched it like as soon as it dropped on Netflix, right?
No, I had me and my friends. I made a promise to my friends that we would wait and watch the movie together. So I spent the whole day avoiding social media and avoiding all the sites I usually go for pony content until we all got together. And that night we watched it all together.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah.
And then Mel, when did you watch this movie like right around when it came out too, or did you wait until the last
Yeah,
night
I
like
know.
I did?
I kind of forgot that it had come out. So when I was on Netflix, it showed up, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I watched it.
Okay. Cool.
Understandable.
So yeah, just fair warning. We'll be talking about spoilers here. So if you don't want to
Big
be spoiled,
spoilers.
yeah, definitely go watch it and then listen. Or if you don't care about spoilers, just keep on listening. So anyway, yeah. As I previously mentioned, the movie does sort of establish that this does take place in the same continuity as Friendship is Magic at the very beginning. Has that little 2D animated intro, and then it leads into the CG universe of G5 proper. Introduces 3 characters that we'll see for the rest of the film, but 2 of them being part of like the main group and one ending up being the villain.
Well,
well-
okay, one of them. I'll talk about the villain later, but yeah, the opening is where we get introduced to our main protagonist, Sunny Star Scout, and 2 of her childhood friends, Hitch and Sprout. And yeah, it's a good little opening, just kind of showing like, because basically these days, if you watched Friendship is Magic, you know that all 3 pony races kind of get along. That is not this universe. Because
Everyone's racist.
Everyone in Equestria is racist except for Sunny. Sunny and her dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is very interesting, like seeing just from the start how the Earth ponies kind of view the unicorns and Pegasi as like as basically like monsters, essentially.
Yeah, and then you travel around to the different provinces, and then you find out that the unicorns and the Pegasi all have the same misinformation about the other pony races too.
Yeah, it's all just everyone's got their own misinformed biases about one another that's kind of caused them all to separate. But yeah, no, like, and there's just also in this opening sequence, you get to see a little bit of Sunny's house as well as her dad Argyle, who I really like. He's a great character. And the little shot where it's just Argyle working on the little light show thing that he makes for Sunny early in the movie, that has so many little callbacks to Friendship is Magic. It's like, obviously there's a map of old Equestria that you can see with all of the cutie marks. There's like a picture that I noticed of the lockbox from the Tree of Harmony. And then the one that made me lose my mind is there's just actually Grogar's Bewitching Bell from season 9. Like, that's the big plot point in season 9 that they throw in there.
Okay, so they actually make some, like, it's not just like broad stroke stuff they reference. They actually throw in like a lot of like stuff that you would have to have like really watched the Friendship's Magic to like pick out the references and stuff.
Oh yeah, no. One of the callbacks and references is the Memory Stone, which is a thing from one of the Equestria Girls shorts.
Oh wow! So even just outside of like the main continuity too.
Yeah, there's some deep cut references thrown in here, and as a fan, I loved catching these because, like, okay, obviously Twilight and whatnot, that's just a wink to the general general audience, but stuff like that feels like if you really were like in as deep into it as I've gotten this past year, that's a little nod and wink to you specifically, and it's like, that feels good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it starts out and shows them as kids, but then it does like a bit of a time skip into like outside of the prologue proper. Once it gets into like the main time that the movie is set in, the main characters like. Actually, I wanted to ask about this because in Friendship is Magic, I know that they're pretty vague about how old the characters are. I'm assuming that they're like young adults, or supposed to be.
Yes. All of the main six, and most of, and like any one of their like general friends, unless they are explicitly stated, are young adults.
Okay, so I think it's safe to assume that everyone, all the main characters in this one are also like supposed to be young adults as well. So they're holding jobs and they're like, or I guess like, being either sheriffs or
sheriffs are delivering ice cream. Yeah, no, like all of the main character ponies for the past two generations have all been adults, basically.
Sure.
Of their ages, who the hell knows? But
but the general idea of the range, like the age range, like
somewhere between somewhere in their early to mid 20s. Let's go with that.
So basically, the way that the plot kind of gets started is Sunny is basically kind of like in
there's one more part of the prologue we forgot. So Sunny and Argyle also launch a little what's the word I'm looking for? A lantern with a note to just any Pegasus or unicorn looking at it, basically saying, "Hey, you have friends in Maritime Bay. Come visit us."
Oh, right, yeah.
And then that never gets brought up for a while. But Sunny is going and she's making her deliveries. I want to just briefly point this out because me and my friends made a joke about it, but the more I think about it, it's like, actually, hang on, there's some legitimacy to that. But in the first song of the movie, which I gotta say the songs are all right, most of the cast is voiced by Sunny Starscout's voiced by Vanessa Hudgens, which is a name I haven't heard in a long time. So it's interesting hearing her in this role again.
Yeah, I was familiar. I'd heard her name around before, and I looked up that she was like in the High School Musical movies and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'd probably seen her like when my sisters were watching those back when they came out.
Yeah.
James Marsden and Ken Jeong and Jane Krakowski are like the other main ones I did recognize. Oh, and Phil Lamar too. But as far as like the main characters, just James Marsden and Vanessa Hudgens.
I also recognized Kimiko Glenn, who voices Best Pony Izzy, because Kimiko Glenn, I initially knew her from she voices Penny Parker in Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, really?
More relevant to this show, she also voices Horse in Centaur World, which is awesome. You should go watch Centaur World if you haven't watched Centaur World.
Yeah, and she was in Close Enough. She was the friend.
Really?
Oh, is she? Oh, okay, cool.
She's doing a lot of stuff recently, yeah.
Okay,
nice.
Well, I didn't realize I'd heard her in so much recently.
We just watched something yesterday, I feel, and she was in, and I was like, oh, there she's again. I feel like I've been hearing her a lot lately.
Yeah, she's in a lot of stuff lately. That's good. She's really talented. And the only other voice I recognized was the lady who voices Zip, and I feel bad because I just forgot her name. But I know that she's
Lisa Koshy.
Yeah, Lisa Koshy, who is I'm going to say this in quotation marks, YouTube comedian, who I'm only aware of because I've heard how really, really unfunny she is. Oh. But fortunately, she Zip doesn't really have a lot of comedic moments, so it's a rare moment where she actually has to act. And
that's funny in hindsight because Zip's whole. Oh no! Wait, she's Zip. Okay, I was gonna say if she was Pip, Zip's sister, because she's the one that's actually like the social media like influencer.
No, that would have been so ironic, though. That would have been really, yeah.
That would have been a funny kind of casting for that. But no, I guess they were just thought, no, maybe it's a little bit too on the nose.
A little too on the nose, and honestly, she does a fine job with Zip. I was a little worried because I've heard nothing but I wasn't a big fan of any of the stuff I've heard about from her. So I was just like, but she does a fine performance here.
I would say in general, the voice acting was, pretty good. I mean, there wasn't anything that really stuck out to me as being bad or anything. I thought everyone was, cast pretty well.
Yeah, no, generally speaking, I thought all the voice acting was great.
It'll be interesting to see how many of these actors come back for that TV series. I'm assuming because it's a Netflix thing. I mean, I would be willing to bet that they'd throw the money around to get back everyone to voice the respective characters. But
yeah, but I will say, if they don't get Hitch's voice actor back, I think that they should get somebody who maybe not the actual actor himself, but somebody who can pull off a Patrick Warburton, because Hitch feels like that kind of character.
Maybe like
a Kronk almost.
I don't know that I agree, but I respect your casting there.
I can see it.
I like James Marsden's voice for Hitch. I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, I hope he comes back. He does a great job as Hitch.
Plus, James Marsden just has all this experience acting alongside CG animals, and now he gets to be one, so it's really funny.
He went from acting alongside Sonic the Hedgehog to being a pony.
And then even before that, because he acted alongside the Easter Bunny.
God, talk about fucking acting goals right there.
Yeah.
Jeremy Snow here, owner and editor-in-chief of The Geekly Grind. I'm interrupting your awesome, regularly scheduled programming to ensure that you know about our Geekly Grind podcast network, of which this show is a treasured member of. If you haven't had a chance to check out our site, you can do so at www.thegeeklygrind.com, and while you're there, check out the other members of our steadily growing podcast family, including the anime-centric Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, discovering new heroes and comic book keepers with Chris and Lance, exploring the vast universe of geekdom with Geeksploration, or of course appreciating animation's finer details with the Ink and Paint Club. Escape your weekly grind at the Geekly Grind.
Oh, anyway, so yeah, back to kind of what I was getting at. So Sunny is basically... she's kind of like an advocate for wanting to repair relations with all the different pony races, and so she infiltrates a showcase for like technology to be used like in regards to defense against the other pony races, I guess.
Yeah, there's like a whole factory called Canner Logic that is entirely built around like building tools of defense against the various pony races.
Yeah, and so she kind of gets sucked into the demonstration of the actual devices used.
There's a great reoccurring moment where like one pony uses a escape pack that is just a bunch of balloons, and he flies off, and he becomes a running joke for the whole movie.
Yeah, you keep on seeing him floating around in the background, and then they do pay it off though at the very end.
Yeah.
He basically misses the events of the whole movie, and then like shows back up, and yeah,
dreams. Like there's a lot of great jokes that are funny on their own, but have better payoff. They have better payoff and callbacks later in the movie, and it makes them even better.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorites is when later on in the not later in the first act, when we finally see Izzy, and Izzy's coming to Maritime Bay, and every Earth pony just starts panicking. And she looks over at that one guy who's like, "Hey, I see you." And that one pony just jumps into the lake.
Yeah.
He just emergency jumps into the lake. That was that was in the trailer, and that was like the funniest bit from that trailer, and it was still not even, I don't think it's like the funniest bit in the whole movie.
Right. But actually, yeah, so the infiltrating the Counter Logic, and then I'm still trying to remember like all the ponies' names, so I have to consult a list right now. Izzy. So when Izzy shows up in town, just shortly before that, it's Hitch is basically he's talking to Sunny about wanting to put her money where her mouth is, and be like, okay, you talk about how these other pony races are, not the way that we've been taught how they are, so go prove it and actually find them and try to repair relations or something like that. And then
that's how the plot starts.
That's how the plot starts. Yeah. And then Izzy shows up and everyone freaks out. And then actually, and before I kind of get further into the plot, when she actually does show up, there's some funny like little background gags that I enjoyed a lot, was because they're like right outside of a movie theater. And you can see the ads for different movies showing there, and like there's a big advertisement for
Terminator.
No, it's a
Judgment
Day. Yeah.
There's
and they have like little posters there for from what I could make out, it said Dirty Prancing, Horns, and Harry Trotter, which is respectively Dirty Dancing, Jaws, and Harry Potter. And then later in the movie, there's an ad for Philly Elliott, which is supposed to be Billy
Missy
Elliott.
Yeah, God. There's a lot. I will say, like, one thing I heard a lot of people worry about is like modernized brands or modern technology in Equestria. But like, not only does that just make natural sense for a world like that, like this, but also it's just fun. I think it's fun seeing these like ponified versions of things that like we recognize as little references, and they're just small references too. They're nothing big.
Yeah, like when they get to the Pegasus province, they have you see like little ads and stuff, and I saw the one that's like the Sony font and it just says Pony. I'm just like, why in this world would you name a brand Pony? Like, how would you even like market that?
I mean, is there not a brand called just simply Human?
Yeah, but I don't know. There's just something about like if you called the brand Human. Like, if they called the brand simply Pony or something, yeah, okay, I could see that. But, like, if they called the brand just Human or something, like, I don't know. It seemed a little weird to me. It is a funny, like, visual gag, though, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so Sunny and Izzy meet up. Sunny hides Izzy away in her house, and they kind of sneak past Hitch and Sprout. And then they just kind of go on their way, and they're trying to... Actually, what is the initial... catalyst? Because I know that the
initial catalyst was like Sunny's just asking Izzy a bunch of questions about unicorns, and she tries to make a can of beans float, and that's when she finds out that there is no magic. Like, Equestria has no magic. Unicorns don't have magic, and we learn later that Pegasi don't have magic, so they can't fly. So yeah, that's the real inciting incident. It's like, well, shit, I guess we gotta go find out why magic's gone.
Right. I was gonna get to that, but it was more that the plot revolves around trying to find like the specific crystals, gems.
That shows up. That particular plot point doesn't show up until they get to Zephyr Heights, the Pegasus City.
Right, because Zip shows them the first one, right? That's the crown. Okay, now I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember if they had one previous to that. Like I said, I watched this last night, and I'm trying to retain as much of it through my what notes I took as possible. But I know that you've watched it 3 times, so you'll be able to fill in the gaps.
Yep.
But yeah, so that is essentially what the plot of the movie becomes. Is they discover that there's no magic in Equestria, and that apparently there was magic in the past, and so they're seeking to restore it. And yeah, they eventually meet up with one of the princesses from kind of like where the Pegasi live.
Yeah, it's called Zephyr Heights.
That's Zephyr Heights. And she's got like a bunch of like old world, or what would be considered old world kind of artifacts and stuff. Like,
it's like she like takes her to these ruins of, and they're not even like really ruins. They feel like they use places like Maritime Bay and Bridlewood, so that implies that at the very least they are recent enough that they're not actually location. It's not actually a location from Gen 4 proper, which is interesting. But
right,
that's theory kind of stuff.
Sure. So yeah, they meet up with her, and they get locked up first, and then she kind of breaks them out and shows them that there was magic, and that potentially this old artifact might be kind of responsible for bringing magic back. So they have to go and find the other ones, and then that kind of just leads them. They go through like a whole kind of
like a big heist moment.
I was gonna say big heist, but it's kind of like a mini heist. There's not like a lot of it's like a little planning, it's a Zip like tries to sneak them in, and then like they're trying to
they had to make a decoy and stuff. There's a heist basically, and like during that, it's like during another big musical song, which I think was supposed to be like the big song that they used to market the movie, and I gotta say, it's probably my least favorite.
Because I think this is the movie that's the song they play over the credits, I think. So
yeah,
I would check out.
I'll give my 2 cents on the music later in the review because I've got stuff to say about it.
Sure. So yeah, they the gem that they need is part of the queen's crown. So they get Izzy to craft a makeshift one out of macaroni, and then they switch it out while they're focused on the concert. And they get the gem. And they end up with like the main group after that because Hitch has been chasing them this whole time, and then when Pip's concert gets ruined, she kind of ends up joining the group as well.
Also, big important thing about it is we learned that because like when Zip, Pip, and their mom Queen Haven get introduced, they're flying in, and it's one of those and we learned like, oh yeah, no, only royals can fly. And of course, once we go down the little ruins with Zip, it's like, no, we've been faking it. And so once they accidentally expose Pip and the other royals for faking it, they basically put out an arrest warrant for the entire royalty.
Yeah.
So that's the real reason why Pip joins the party, is because
she's on the run.
She's on the run.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like Sunny, Zip, and Izzy, I feel like there is like a genuine bond that they have up to the point where we get the main group. But with Pip and Hitch, they gotta get just stuck. They're just kind of brought along just out of their own volition, essentially.
Yeah. That is something that I do think is an interesting change as far as like the core group of characters, because in Friendship is Magic, basically, from what I remember, it's basically Twilight meets everyone separately, and everyone's basically strangers up until Twilight meets them all, and then they're brought together as like friends, right?
Yeah.
With this, there's already pre-established relationships between these characters. So if we're counting, if there's the main 5, core characters, Sunny and Hitch were childhood friends that grew up, and then Pip and Zip are sisters, and they're also royalty. Izzy is the only one that's not like really attached to anyone in any particular way up until they meet as all a group. But I do think that it's an interesting way to change kind of group dynamic.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when I found out that Zip and Pip were sisters, because like, you look at them in like promotional material and you would not guess that the two are related.
Yeah. The other thing too was that, and you can correct me on this, but is this the first like group of ponies in any gen where they had a male pony as part of like the main group?
Yeah, much that I can think of.
I feel like this is. I know that there were like there were male main characters in the second gen, but it was kind of a boys and girls kind of deal. So this is the first time like the main group has a stallion in it.
Okay.
Which is an interesting idea, because I think they wanted to also, it's another acknowledgement of like, okay, we're mostly targeting ourselves towards girls, but there is enough of an audience of male viewers that we should definitely toss one male pony in. I can see this from a Paul marketing perspective, but in general, I think it's a neat little change.
Yeah, it's fun. The other thing that I just sticking to kind of conversation about Hitch, just because I think it's really funny that Hitch ends up with kind of Fluttershy's big deal, which is like all the animals in this movie are drawn to him for some reason.
That was cute.
Yeah, it was cute. It was a nice little like touch. Actually, the one thing I will say is that like I was a little worried, because I had heard about what all of the main 5 were kind of like before the movie came out, and I was a little worried that more of them would play into basically just cure the main 6, but not. But fortunately, that's not the case. Like, everyone has traits from the main 6 in there. Like, Hitch has all the animals just keep following him around, but he's not really an animal lover. They just kind of keep following him around because they just like him.
Yeah.
Izzy is big Pinkie Pie energy. Like, she even does the little skip thing at some point that Pinkie does.
Yeah.
Zip is essentially Rainbow Dash, but more chilled out, and also more obviously designed to look like a lesbian. with that fucking weird ass Hershey's Kiss looking ass hairdo. And then Pip, I guess Pip is Rarity, but if Rarity was just a social media influencer, I guess that's kind of where it separates.
More towards fashion, if Rarity skewed more towards social media than fashion, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the one thing is that, like, I will say that while I really I like Sunny a lot, Izzy's the best pony, and if you ask anyone online, the universal answer is Izzy's best pony. Like, everybody freaking loves Izzy, and I agree. Izzy's adorable. She's my favorite. And I also really like Hitch. He's like my second favorite of the main cast. I just didn't care that much for Zip and Pip. And like, I feel like my
main thing is I just don't like any of the colors of this gen.
That's another thing. A lot of so the main 6 and Generation 4 in general had like bright, vibrant colors. They weren't eye straining, but they were vibrant, and like every single member of the main 6 had like an instantly recognizable color scheme where like you took one look at them, or you took one look at like even just a little bit of their color scheme, like a minimalist idea of it, and yeah, you know immediately who it is. But like with Generation 5, everyone kind of is more into like this pastel colors, and on top of that,
so
there's like
both the Sheriff Pony and Sunny are both like yellowy tan.
It's like a yellowish and then an orange.
And then Izzy and the princess, like there's 2 purples there. Like,
yeah,
no one just stands out to me. Like, I don't know. I was pretty disappointed with this gen's color schemes.
I will agree. The color is the one thing I think was really disappointing, because nobody really pops out, or is like no one really pops out the same way they did in Gen 4.
Right.
Which is a little disappointing.
So what you're saying is that they don't have like main character syndrome, where they're very clearly supposed to be the main characters.
Actually, yeah, no, these are main characters that don't have main character syndrome, and that's actually kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Because like they kind of just
pretty
all look
boring,
like other,
honestly.
They all kind of look like the other ponies.
I really do think that people tie their favorite ponies with like what their favorite colors are, and I think a lot of times a big thing, at least for me when I was a wee lad, like, remember, it was really exciting when a pony was blue, because, oh my god, my favorite color is blue, that's the pony for me, like, and so it's just a bummer that there's not a whole lot of differences in the color scheme with these guys.
Yeah, I do, like, I know that they're making a series, but at this point, I think the colors are set in stone for the main 5, which is a little disappointing. At the very least, I appreciate that Sprout is, like, a bright red. That helps him stand out a bit more.
Yeah, like, out of all of them.
Because there's not really a blue. There's just the closest thing to blue is Izzy, and she's more of like a weird bluish, lavenderish color.
Well, I think Sunny's dad was blue.
Yeah, there was that.
But I think that's it.
Yeah, and it was just I didn't really consider any of the color theory stuff behind it, but I guess making Sprout like bright red is just to make him seem like very aggressive, as he turns out to be like kind of the antagonist for like the later part of the movie.
So, I do like this, is that, because, yeah, Sprout is just a deputy, and, like, when Hitch goes off to arrest Sunny, or aka go join the plot of the movie, Sprout's just behind, and his mom, the lady who runs Cantor Logic, comes in and is like, well, I guess that makes you the sheriff, and almost immediately that power goes to his head.
Yeah.
And it's
like, it goes so quickly, like...
I mentioned it before, and I'm gonna say something that is true, but I don't want to say it because it's unfortunately true. Sprout has the same character arc as Illumination's version of the Onceler.
Is that a fact?
Just a dude.
Green and red is a pretty common color scheme for things, like for villains.
Yeah, but like I mean, he starts off as just he's not inherently bad, but he's raised from his parents to eventually become bad, and is pushed into a position of power where he abuses that power, and he gets a fun little villain song, and yeah, then it all kind of goes to his head, really badly goes to his head, and then he starts wearing a stupid hat. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The Onceler and Sprout are the same character.
I wouldn't say that's like groundbreaking character development. I feel like weak man who gains power all of a sudden. I feel like that's a pretty standard.
I think it also works because like it's sort of because like early on, Phyllis is her name, the mom that runs Cantor Logic, and she like early on, it's like there's a whole bit where Little Sprout's like, one day I'm gonna be sheriff and I'm gonna lock up all those bad ponies, and then she's like, yeah, Sheriff Sprout, that has a good ring to it. And it's fun watching her like give her son this power and then start to realize, oh God, I've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah, I had originally thought that it was going to turn out that she was going to like pull the strings behind him, but it's more that she just kind of nudges him in that direction and then she comes to regret it, which was definitely it subverted my expectations on that. I kind of thought that she was going to end up being like, yeah, the because you know her whole deal is making defense products to defend against other pony races, so I thought that was kind of leading to her ending up to being like the main villain, but yeah, that was not true. So
yeah, definitely not what I was expecting. I was expecting Queen Haven to be the main villain, honestly, just from the way she was designed. But like, I gotta say, there were a couple of plot points I was really not. I was expecting to be bigger, but turned out to not be, and that subverted my expectations in a way where like I'm surprised or kind of glad they didn't go in that direction. Because early in the movie, when Phyllis is showing off stuff from Cantor Logic, they introduce these like basically tinfoil hats with big little red sensors on them, which are supposed to be like anti-mind reading helmets to protect your brains from unicorns. And me and my friends predicted early on in the movie those are going to be mind control devices, and it never happened. So I'm a little surprised and good for the movie. I was kind of expecting them to take that route.
I don't know if maybe it was like a lack of time or budget, but I do think they maybe wanted to go that route. Or maybe it was just supposed to be metaphorically like it was mind controlling.
I think it was meant to be metaphorically mind controlling. I know that there's at least a few things that were cut. One of them, I know there was a storyboard that was cut where while they're running through Maritime Bay, while I think it was Sunny and Izzy are running through Maritime Bay, avoiding everybody, there was gonna originally just be some old grandma with like freaking goo guns that shoots them from her window.
Oh God.
That had to get cut, probably mostly for time, but also, do you want to know do you have any idea what a pony holding guns looks like? It sure looks fucking weird. That's like my answer.
Wait, like an actual like a gun or like
it's more stylized, but it's very clearly supposed to be a gun.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, we didn't really talk about the where do the unicorns live?
Bridalwood.
Okay, yeah, so Bridalwood.
Which in my opinion is the best looking location in the whole movie because it is fucking gorgeous. I love all the just bright pink colors and the way the nature foliage all kind of blends into the
I just liked that they were emo.
Oh yeah, and also because it's interesting because there's no magic, every unicorn has like basically become sullen and depressed and emo. And it's really, I want to bring this up real quick because now that we're far enough into it, I gotta talk about it. I love just seeing how they really like kind of think about how the different species and races in Equestria would work without magic. Because Earth ponies would be mostly the same, and like Pegasi, both of them basically have big technological leaps forwards. Like there's TVs, there's modern technology like smartphones and stuff. Also, one little Easter egg I liked back in Sprout's villain song is there is a blink and you'll miss it where there's a bunch of TVs on sale and all of them are playing Generation 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very much a blink and you'll miss it kind of Easter egg. But yeah, all of them are playing Generation 1 before it cuts to Sprout's face.
That's funny.
But yeah, and then you get to Bridalwood, and most of it, from what I saw, was mostly kind of more old-fashioned technology that you would expect from, like, Friendship is Magic era. Because like, one of the big plots of this is that they find the unicorn crystal and they have to go get it from this guy called Alphabetal, voiced by Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in order to do
DDR,
they gotta play PPR, Prance Prance Revolution. That's not what they call it in the movie, and I'm upset.
Yeah, they call it just Prance, right?
Yeah, it's like it's a DDR reference. Why do you not? Why
get it. I get
it, but still.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like the machine is made out of like old wood, and it's like not really using a lot of electricity and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see. It's a little
armadillos like running on a wheel to power it. Like,
yeah, it's interesting because like it's established in season 8, like the season finale of season 8. Because this is the closest other time that this has happened, which is magic in Equestria just starts to like disappear, not because ponies hate each other, but because of a big spell and stuff like that from the season's main villain. Anyway, because like unicorns used to rely so heavily on their magic back then that them without it is weird, because it's like you'll see Rarity and Twilight constantly running into doors because they use magic to open it all the time. So it's interesting to see like what unicorns would be like if there was just no magic. And what we get is a society where everyone is sullen and depressed, and they've basically built a society around superstitious words that you shouldn't say. Otherwise, they have to do a weird thing.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
So what are the words?
They're magic, feather, wing, and mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I don't know why mayonnaise. I think it's just because it's funny. But it leads to my favorite visual gag and visual piece of comedy in the whole movie, where Hitch is about to ask why with mayonnaise, and then Izzy shuts him up, and there's a pony walking behind him, and
just
she freezes with the fucking best face. It killed me.
Yeah, I did rewind that when to watch it again. That is something too, that because from what I remembered in Friendship is Magic, there were of course, different areas to Equestria, but it was all kind of like part of like one whole. So to see these 3 different provinces and to see like how drastically different they all are, and they're very fitting for the types of ponies that live there. But like as far as visually goes, like yeah, they're all very unique, and like even Zephyr Heights and were the Earth Ponies?
Maritime Bay.
And Maritime Bay, even between those two, like they're still very into like city infrastructure and stuff. But I mean, yeah, clearly Zephyr Heights has like more technological advances. And then
Maritime Bay I would say Maritime Bay is like San Francisco, whereas fucking Zephyr Heights is New York. Basically, is what it boils down to.
And then Bridalwood being like a more old style kind of woodsy type of environment, which is it's like you said, it looks great, like visually.
It looks nice. Great, and there's lots of just little like all of the environments. There's not too many like environments that the ponies go to, but they're all filled with so much like detail and little character bits like here and there. Like one bit I want to bring up as we're talking about the environments, when it goes to what's the word I'm looking for? The sheriff's office in Maritime Bay, and it goes to it cuts to like a shot of Sprout at his desk. You can see a little thing. You can see a little thing where he's written "deputy" on a piece of paper and like folded it up to look like his little tag.
Actually, since you brought up the sheriff's office, there was one visual gag that I thought was very funny. Was I think it's Sprout's like messing with the calendar, because it's a calendar that has pictures of Hitch, and then it's him it's like one of those swimsuit calendars, or
it's like a sexy pinup calendar, but it's all Hitch.
But it's like a fireman's outfit and like a cop uniform and like that type of thing. I don't know. I thought that was very funny. And then you see later that he posts a photo of his own head on top of his it's pretty funny.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, they end up with all the different gems, crystals, whatever they are, and they try to bring them all together. And it turns out that it didn't work because they needed a third one, which turns out to be the component of the lamp that Sunny's dad made when she was a kid.
Yeah. It's interesting too because I understand why they did that, because even back when Equestria had magic, Earth Ponies didn't really have a whole lot of magic. So it's interesting that they made a Earth Pony crystal specifically.
Yeah, and that was actually something too. So you've watched all of Friendship is Magic. You tell me this, like, I understand that magic is more of a factor in Pegasi and unicorns, but as far as Earth Ponies go, was it supposed to be implied that they just have like a stronger connection to the earth, like in animals and stuff, or was that like their whole deal?
That is kind of their whole deal. The closest thing there is like to Earth Pony magic is Earth Ponies are apparently better, or apparently like physically stronger than the other two. But other than that, like, yeah, no, there was never really like magic that the Earth Ponies had.
Now, see, I find that very interesting, and I'm sure there's been plenty of people that have brought this up. But in Friendship is Magic, the one that's like the most tied in with like critters and like wildlife and stuff is Fluttershy, who's a Pegasus. Like,
yeah, like, well, I'll get into the whole like Earth Pony magic stuff later, because it does pop up in this movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, for now, it's worth pointing out that like it is interesting to see.
Sure. But anyway, yeah, so just kind of wrapping up the plot of the movie, or getting to the end there. Yeah, they find the last one, but not without having to deal with Sprout taking over.
Giant robot thing.
Yeah, and like having the whole town behind him and trying to rally against the unicorns and the Pegasus.
He almost has he tries to have the whole town rally behind him. Like it's one of those where like eventually it's just he's the only one that's inciting this kind of violence.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get the 3 crystals, and like they finally put them all together, and
it still doesn't work.
Nothing happens. And then
they kind of find out that it's not the crystals themselves that give magic. It's actually having all the ponies connected, like being together.
Basically, they don't have magic because friendship is magic.
Yeah. That's basically the plot. That's basically the lesson to be learned here, I guess.
The lesson is the lesson is racism will divide our society, and the only way we can come together and become better as people is if we all come together and stop racism.
Yeah, basically.
And then Sunny becomes an alicorn, in quotation marks. Like she gets like horns and wings, but it's like made of magic. So I don't think that she's like a full alicorn. I think it's more of she just has these kind of like magic of friendship power like moments.
Right.
Which good thing they start off the series with that, because oh boy, we don't need another season 3 moment.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, is that because this is supposed to lead into like a series proper and stuff, it'll be interesting to see like how some of these things pan out for like the show.
Yeah.
In regards to like, just how everything's tied together that way. But yeah, so by the end of the movie, all the communities are kind of brought back together. Magic is back. And
Sprout has one more funny moment where he's going up to his mom and is like, "Was I a good sheriff, Mommy?" And Phyllis is like, hey, look, a flying dog. And then she just awkwardly trots away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's and then that's pretty much the end of the movie, and it ends on the same musical number. That's
which I guess since we're gonna wrap this up, I'm gonna briefly, and I do mean briefly, just go over my thoughts on the music, because on my separate channel, on my separate channel, I did a video where I talked about every song in My Little Pony G4. So just to keep that trend up, I'm going to talk about every song here very, very quickly. Okay, Glowing Up is the weakest one. It's Princess Pip's song. It just sounds like a generic 2020s pop song. Gonna Be My Day, the first song that Sunny sings. It's fun. Also, I like how she's skating around, tagging graffiti, and getting chased around by a police officer. Basically, she's a Jet Set Radio character. No, You cannot change my mind. Fit Right In is a song I want to say is my favorite, but it has 2 moments that really ruin it for me. Great singing, but man, do we really need another fucking attempt at a rap number in cartoons?
Listen, as
like
far as the rap numbers
one
in cartoons this year, this was definitely the best of them.
Yeah, but this is the 3rd one in a row. Oh my god.
I don't know. I didn't cringe at this one like I did at the others.
I cringed at it a little bit. I also cringed a little bit at the line, watch us shake our unicorn butts, because it's like, guys, come on.
It's for kids.
Hitch's song, not Hitch, fucking Sprout's song, Angry Mob, is probably my favorite, even though it is very much just Smells Like Teen Spirit. It literally rips the same da na 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 da na 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 na. But there's tons. It's a really fun song. Just watching him like rile up this angry mob. And I love the little jokes here and there, like look at that corn, it's on a cob. Look at that guy. Hi, my name is Rob. There's tons of great bits in that one, and I'm Looking Out for You is a super fun musical number, which solidifies that Sonny and Izzy are OTP. Them bitches gay. I will hear nobody tell me otherwise. And then there's a song that they play, It's All Right, the dance song that they play in the battle with Alphabettle. It's like the song says, it's all right.
Right.
Whew, okay, yeah, that's all I have to say about the music.
Sure. Mel, what did you think about the music in the movie?
Okay, it wasn't anything to like write home about. It sounded pretty generic to me.
I will say not a single song on here I think is better than some of the some of the higher points of Friendship is Magic. And I mean just like the A to B plus range. But I feel like it's unfair to rank it on the grounds of Friendship is Magic's music because different composers and stuff like that. It's a whole new generation.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask if because I figured he wasn't, but yeah, so Daniel Ingram didn't do the soundtrack for this movie.
Daniel Ingram did not come back for this. I do hope he comes back for the show proper because I miss his music already.
Yeah, no, he wrote some from the songs that I remember hearing in Friendship is Magic. I always really enjoyed them, but the other show that he worked on for the Hub, Littlest Pet Shop, the songs that he did for that show were like way better than they had any right to be.
Oh god, yeah, no. When he gets going, he can make some bops.
I wouldn't mind talking about LPS at some point on this podcast. Actually, maybe in the future.
So yeah, that's just kind of the end of the movie. And personally, as a huge My Little Pony fan, I thought this movie was a ton of fun to watch, and it makes me really excited for the hope and future that Generation 5 will be like. There are some questions that I have that I hope they address, like what caused the 3 species of ponies to hate each other in the first place? Where did the magic key come from? What happened to the other races? Because seasons 8 and 9 made a big deal about involving the other races around the world in Equestria, so like dragons, changelings, griffins, etc. I really hope we get to learn what happened to that. Where all they went. And I also know that there was a leak that was going to have at one point one of the fucking plot synopsis was going to be the main 6 would have been like a unicorn, a pegasus, a hippogriff, a changeling, a Kirin, and like a dragon or something. Weird shit like that. But I hope we get to see more of those, because that was one thing I really liked about Friendship is Magic, is just seeing the different species out there.
Yeah, I imagine if they already had plans to do like a show and everything, that they have things planned for it, and they're not just going to be doing just, and especially because this show definitely skews more towards, or it can be enjoyed by older audiences, like how Friendship is Magic ended up being, that they'll definitely be keeping that in mind when they're writing. Like, this is not going to be specifically another thing like just for kids, like Pony Life, or like any into the older gens of My Little Pony. I think they're kind of past that now. I think now they know that this is kind of like for an all ages audience. So
I think they've learned that adults have money.
Yeah.
So, maybe we should start making stuff for them too.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
I think that all the time about the Pokemon series. I wish they would make a more adult Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same kind of principle on that. But yeah, Mel. So what did you think about the movie in general?
Me, I was all right. I wasn't really I went into it with 0 expectations, so I didn't really, care one way or the other. But I guess it was okay. I didn't like it nearly as much as I liked, the intro to Friendship is Magic and stuff. I don't know. I thought
well, here's a good question. Because the last generation had its own theatrical movie. I haven't seen it, so I can't compare, but since both of you have seen it, how does this kind of stack up to the last feature length movie.
Well, they're two really different movies. I mean, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
Like the one in theaters was 2D animated and it was based on an already established set of characters, whereas this one was 3D and we've never seen these characters before. So I mean, it's hard to kind of compare them.
Yeah, it's weird. I would say that if you're going into this with not a lot of knowledge of Friendship is Magic or My Little Pony in general, then G5 is a better movie overall. I think it has a generally better plot because a lot of the Friendship is Magic movie relies on you having already known these characters ahead of time. And also, it is important to note that that movie is literally the setup for season 8. It is the brand. It's not even because it's not just a weird little out of canon movie. No, them going across Equestria and meeting the hippogriffs and stuff like that. That's brought up in season 8, immediately when it starts.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that it tied so heavily into the actual show proper. I imagined that it was kind of a one-off thing that they might throw in references here and there. But
no, it is actually the next step forward in the story.
Well, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'll eventually get around to watching all the Friendship is Magic that I missed, and that'll include the movie as well. But yeah, as far as this movie goes, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I do think that it's a pretty good start for a series that'll come after that, and I'm sure I'll end up checking that out. I don't know if we'll do an episode on the podcast about it, but if you would like to hear us talk about that, definitely make your voice heard in the comments on YouTube or any of our social media and stuff.
And if you want to hear just me talk about My Little Pony more, I have a YouTube channel where I'm starting to make more My Little Pony content since Generation 5 turned out to be really good, so I guess I'm making more pony content.
Yeah, Aiden, what's your actual, what would they type in to find your channel?
Well, if you will go onto YouTube and search up Aiden Aces on YouTube, then you'll find my video on every My Little Pony G4 song ever ranked. And go watch that. Go let me know what you think about it. Hit the all that stuff. Chill stuff. I gotta say this at least once.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely wanted you to bring it up too because
yeah,
and yeah, there's also some non-pony related content on there too that I think is worth listening to and watching. So yeah, definitely
to an extent.
Yeah, definitely recommend for me. But yeah, I think that's everything covered.
Well, there is one more thing. I brought up the whole why Earth ponies have a crystal when they don't really have magic. Well, post-credit scene, we get to see 3 fillies running along, and one of them leaves a trail of magic, and it was only the Earth pony. So, Generation 5, Earth ponies have actual magic.
Okay, I didn't really think about that when I saw it. I thought it was just kind of oh, okay, that actually makes a lot more sense now that you contextualize it that way.
Yeah.
Was I wrong in thinking that those are supposed to be the stand-ins for the Cutie Mark Crusaders, for this next gen?
They might be.
Though, because those are characters that we only saw right at the post-credits, right? I don't think we saw them at all in the movie proper.
Yeah, that's why I said they might be. Right now, I think the show is in early pre-production, so anything is possible.
Yeah, and like I said, it'll be interesting to see how they follow up with the show, with everything that's been established in this movie here. So yeah. Anyway, that's unless there's anything else that we need to touch on, any more comments that need to be made.
I think I got it all out of me.
You, Mel?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, so yeah, that's the Ink and Paint Club podcast take on My Little Pony, a new gen. I keep wanting to say next generation just because I watched through all Star Trek Next Generation recently, so I was stopping myself this whole review from saying My Little Pony the Next Generation.
Nice.
Oh God, yeah, My Little Pony a New Generation. Yeah, if you watch this movie, you have any comments that want to be made on this, or even Last Gen, Friendships of Magic, or anything, definitely hit us up on our social media, on our YouTube, any of that. Let it be known. If you want us to cover any other MLP related stuff in the future, definitely let it be known there as well. But yeah, I think that's going to do that for us for this episode. So we will. We'll get to you guys next time, next week sometime or rather, with something new, something old, something cool, something bad. Old. Yeah. with that said, thank you for listening, and we will catch you all next time.
Okay, see you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find all the links to our social media pages in the episode description. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join our Discord. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. The Ink and Paint Club is happy to be part of the Geekly Grind Podcast Network. We'll see you next time.